Why is it that so many good men end up feeling invisible, unappreciated, and completely alone in their relationships? You're there day after day, doing everything right, avoiding arguments, keeping the peace, making compromises, yet something still feels off. The more you try to please her, the more she seems to pull away. Think about it. You were praised for being the reasonable one, the level-headed guy who doesn't rock the boat. But what if that praise became a prison? What if the very thing you thought was helping your relationship is actually causing it to wither? I see it all the time. Men trapped in this cycle of peacekeeping that leaves them feeling powerless and their partners feeling nothing at all. Not anger, not passion, just a quiet, growing indifference that's far more dangerous than any argument could ever be. Today, I want to talk about why being the eternal peacemaker might be sabotaging your relationship, and what you can do instead to create the kind of passionate connection where she doesn't just stay with you, she fights for you. When you constantly avoid conflict to keep the peace, you're sending a powerful message, and it's not the one you think. You're not communicating that you care, you're communicating that you don't care enough to engage. That maintaining surface-level harmony is more important than addressing what's really happening between you. This isn't about becoming argumentative or difficult. It's about understanding that real intimacy requires honesty. And honesty sometimes means friction. It means having the courage to stand in your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly expressed what you wanted in your relationship without filtering it through a lens of, will this cause problems? When did you last share a genuine opinion that might not align with hers, instead of defaulting to, whatever you want is fine with me? The painful reality is that women don't want a man who's always agreeable. They want a man who has his own center, his own truth, someone who can handle her full emotional spectrum without crumbling or walking on eggshells. Here's what happens when you're constantly the peacemaker. You become predictable, safe. And while safety is crucial in relationships, predictability is relationship kryptonite. The human brain is wired to seek novelty and growth. When your partner can predict exactly how you'll respond to everything, with agreeableness and conflict avoidance, the relationship starts feeling stagnant. I've seen it countless times. The man who prides himself on never raising his voice, never rocking the boat, slowly watching as his partner's eyes stop lighting up when he enters the room. He's confused because he's doing everything right, yet the connection is fading. So what's the alternative? It's not about becoming someone you're not. It's about expanding who you already are. First, you need to understand that conflict itself isn't toxic. How we handle conflict determines whether it destroys or strengthens a relationship. Healthy disagreement is not just normal, it's necessary for growth and deeper connection. Second, recognize that your opinions, desires, and boundaries matter just as much as hers. Not more, but certainly not less. When you constantly sacrifice your needs on the altar of peacekeeping, you're not being selfless. You're slowly erasing yourself from the relationship. Now, let's talk about what to do instead. This isn't about techniques or tactics. It's about shifting your entire approach to relationship dynamics. Start by getting comfortable with discomfort. The next time you have a different opinion or preference, express it clearly and calmly. Don't apologize for having a viewpoint. Don't hedge or qualify it to make it more palatable. Simply state it as your truth. I'd prefer to do this instead. Or, I don't agree with that approach. Notice what happens in your body when you do this. There might be tension, a racing heart, the fear that conflict is coming. Stay with those sensations. They're just energy moving through you. They can't hurt you. Second, stop trying to fix her emotions. When she's upset, angry, or frustrated, your job isn't to make those feelings go away. Your job is to be present with her through them. There's a profound difference between saying, don't be upset, and saying, I see that you're upset, and I'm here with you in it. When you try to fix or minimize her emotions, you're essentially telling her that her feelings are problems to be solved rather than experiences to be honored. This doesn't mean you need to accept abuse or disrespect. It means you recognize that emotions themselves aren't threats. Third, and this is crucial, develop your own inner compass. What matters to you? What are your non-negotiables? What kind of relationship do you actually want? Not just what you're willing to settle for to keep the peace. Many men I work with realize they've been so focused on avoiding their partner's disappointment that they've lost touch with their own desires. They can tell you exactly what would upset their partner, but struggle to articulate what would fulfill them. This inner compass isn't about selfishness, it's about authenticity. When you know what matters to you and can stand in that truth calmly and confidently, you become a man worth fighting for. Here's why. we are instinctively drawn to people who know who they are. There's something magnetic about someone who has their own center, who isn't easily swayed by every passing wind of opinion or conflict. This is true regardless of gender, but it's especially powerful in romantic relationships. When you stop being the peacemaker and start being authentic, something remarkable happens. The initial response might be surprise or even pushback. After all, you're changing the rules of engagement. But beneath that, respect begins to grow. And respect is the foundation of desire, not agreeableness, not conflict avoidance. Respect. I remember working with Michael, who had spent 15 years of marriage priding himself on never arguing with his wife. He came to me because despite his best efforts, she seemed increasingly distant and irritable. "I give her everything she wants," he told me bewildered. "I never push back. I'm always supportive." When I asked him what he wanted in the relationship, he looked at me blankly. He had been so focused on responding to her needs that he'd forgotten how to identify his own. Over several months, Michael began the uncomfortable work of finding his voice. The first time he calmly disagreed with his wife about a family decision, he was terrified it would escalate into a fight. Instead, after the initial shock, she became more engaged in the conversation than she had been in years. "It was like she finally saw me," he told me later, "not as an extension of her, but as my own person." Their relationship wasn't magically fixed overnight, but something fundamental shifted. As Michael continued to express his authentic self, sometimes agreeing, sometimes disagreeing, but always from a place of self-knowledge rather than peacekeeping, his wife began to look at him differently. Arguments still happened, but they became opportunities for deeper understanding rather than threats to avoid. Most importantly, she began reaching for him again, both emotionally and physically. "She's fighting for us now," he told me, "in a way she never did when I was trying to keep everything smooth." This is the paradox. When you're willing to risk the relationship for the sake of authenticity, you often end up with a stronger relationship than you had when you were playing it safe. So how do you make this shift without overcorrecting into stubborn defiance or unnecessary conflict? Start small. Choose one area where you've been defaulting to peacekeeping and experiment with expressing your genuine preference or opinion. Notice how it feels in your body. Notice how she responds. Not just her words, but her energy. Practice distinguishing between aggressive communication and assertive communication. Aggressive communication seeks to dominate or control. Assertive communication simply states your truth without apologizing for having it. Remember that timing matters. Bringing up important topics when both of you are stressed, hungry, or tired is setting yourself up for difficulty. Choose moments of connection to introduce more challenging conversations. And perhaps, most importantly, be patient with yourself and with her as you shift this dynamic. If you've been the peacekeeper for years, neither of you is used to this new version of you. There will be awkward moments and missteps. That's not failure, it's growth. The truth is, being seen fully, with all your opinions, preferences, and boundaries intact, is both terrifying and liberating. There's no guarantee that every relationship will thrive with this shift. Some partnerships are built on the very dynamic you're changing. But what I can promise you is this. The relationship that emerges when you stop being the peacemaker will be more authentic, more alive. And if it's the right relationship, she won't just stay, she'll start fighting for what you have together with a passion that no amount of peacekeeping could ever inspire. You deserve to be seen, you deserve to be known, and you deserve a relationship where peace isn't something you maintain through self-erasure, but something you build together through genuine connection. The choice is yours. Will you keep playing it safe, or will you find the courage to be seen?